In the late 1700s, the Industrial Revolution was dramatically changing life in Britain. Inventions such as the steam engine and new industrial machinery were transforming factories, textile mills, and even farms. By the 1800s, these changes had made their way to America, and new inventions dramatically changed people's lives. Inventions such as the telegraph revolutionized the way Americans communicated with one another, and transportation became faster and easier. In 1817, New Yorkers found a way to transport the growing farming resources of America to their doorstep. They built a canal linking the Hudson River to Lake Erie. The sheer scale of the project was immense. The canal stretched more than 360 miles and had 83 locks and 18 aqueducts. And it was all built using the muscle power of men, horses, mules, and oxen. After 8 years of construction, the Erie Canal opened in 1825. The cost of transporting a ton of grain from central New York State to New York City plunged from $100 to just $6. The Port of New York became the focal point for trade between many American states and the rest of the world. Soon, the invention of the steamboat allowed for faster transportation along other waterways and opened the Midwest to trade and settlement. And the invention of the railroad allowed for faster land travel. By 1840, about 3,000 miles of track had been laid in the United States. Since railroads often followed canal routes, New York benefited from them too. In the 1800s, New York City became the chief destination for hundreds of thousands of immigrants. These immigrants, mostly from Germany and Ireland, contributed to a dramatic population increase in the United States. Many of the Irish immigrants were escaping the Irish potato famine. The potato was the staple food of Ireland, but in 1845, a disease destroyed entire crops. With nothing to eat, the Irish faced widespread starvation. A mass exodus began. In just 5 years, 1 million men, women, and children left Ireland for America. Most of the Irish immigrants who arrived in the United States between 1845 and 1851 were poor farmers. But without any money to buy land, most stayed in the city and found work in construction. Irish workers also helped to build many of America's railroads. The booming cities and towns of 1800s America sparked a rush away from farms and villages. Soon, many more people were living in the industrialized North than in the agricultural South. The North, the home of the free states, and the South, the home of the slave states, developed distinct cultures and economies. While northern cities were prospering, the South's plantations were booming too. British textile mills were flourishing, and the demand for Southern cotton was soaring. A 1790s invention, the cotton gin, allowed plantation workers to clean 50 times more cotton fiber by machine than by hand. Southern landowners planted more fields with cotton. As cotton production spread, so did slavery. Landowners bought more land and more slaves as they tried to earn more money. The South's economy became entirely dependent on slave labor. In 1818, there were 11 free and 11 slave states. That year, Missouri, which had slavery, applied to join the Union. Tensions between the states flared as Northerners worried that allowing a new slave state would give the slave states more power than the free states. So in the Missouri Compromise of 1820, Maine, a free state, was allowed into the Union along with Missouri. The balance of power was maintained, but the issue of slavery would continue to haunt the nation for decades to come.